Unified threat management is basically just that. It's a multifaceted approach to different layers of security within your network. Traditionally, the old way of doing it was you would have to buy either different services and or different pieces of hardware to accomplish the same thing. Example, most people think of a router and a firewall being the same thing, and they're actually not. A router is just that, it routes traffic. I always tell people, think of the firewall as being the wall around your castle. I usually like to use that analogy. You got the moat, you got the brick wall, that's your firewall. How people get it in and out through the firewall is however you let them. You let the drawbridge down, people can come in, people can go out. It's a little bit more than that, but you get the idea. Then you start looking at things like IPS or intrusion protection systems. That is outside threats trying to come into the network. So that's going to be your guys on the towers of your castle looking for threats off in the distance that are coming in and defending if they need to. You've got advanced threat protection. I like to think of it, for lack of a better term, as the secret police within your walls that are looking for active threats, that may be going on that nobody else is really seeing. They're kind of in the shadows undercover. Nowadays, you have things like AI that also help with that, so they can identify those threats faster, more efficiently. You take other things like web protection. That's going to be all your filtering, application filtering. People think of Facebook as a website. For us in IT, it's actually we call it a web-based application because that's really what it is. So they're treated differently. Zoom would be an application, but it's still obviously via the internet. You can think of Skype, Instagram, any types of those. We consider those applications, even if they are through a web browser. So those are treated differently, but they allow us to protect you from all kinds of things, from pornography to other types of illicit sites, to alcohol and tobacco, to whatever it is you want to keep your employees from not accessing while they're at work, like Facebook. Don't want Jenny in accounting slacking off all day playing Candy Crush. That's a piece of it. Email protection is another piece. Traditionally, you would have something, some type of email filtering system. Again, it could be cloud-based, it could be on-prem, but it is still something that you would pay in addition to have that type of spam filtering and protection. Those are generally included. There's also what we call web services protection. That would be anything that is hosted on an internal server, whether it's a website or some other type of web-based service that you are supporting and supplying out to the world for your employees or even customers. You want to protect those differently because, again, you're not going to just poke holes in your firewall to give access to those things. That's like big no-no, security breach number one. So all of those things are built into a unified threat management or UTM type device. There's even, on that, there's even what we call XG, sometimes referred to as next gen firewalls. And the next generation of firewalls, again, more and more AI. The next gen firewalls I use even throw in sandboxing, where I can take a file and I can actually download it, check that it's valid within the sandbox before it actually gets downloaded to make sure that what's being applied or installed on people's machines is valid. It's not going to contain malware or cryptoware or any of those types of things. So unified threat management devices just change the landscape, give you so much more. There is a cost associated with it, I'm not going to lie, but the overall cost of ownership is a lot less than if you had to go out and source, whether it be cloud-based options or even physical hardware to meet the same need that one device can do now. And that's they've been around for a while, but it totally changes the landscape and what we can do to keep you protected as a client.